Good morning. Welcome everyone, and I officially declare the meeting open at 9 a.m. Could I remind everybody that council's meetings are open to the public and are also live streamed to provide access to all community members. Attendees in the gallery may be recorded, and this video and audio of the meeting will be available on the public council's website. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we stand, the Gulnay people, and acknowledge my respect for their current and emerging leaders and those in the dreaming, and thank them for their contributions they have made in building our community. I would like to welcome Pastor Rob McGarry to do the opening prayer. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. Thank you for the privilege coming along today again. I'd just like to read a couple of scriptures. The first one is Hebrews 11 verse 1, which says, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen." So it has substance and there's evidence. The second one is from Philippians 4 verses 6 and 7. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." Can I tell you a story? Recently, many of you know, I was chairing a steering committee for the Mill Centenary. And about 3 years ago, I thought, what would be good to have a steam loco rides around the mill? And that seemed like a good idea. So I actually found out that Tully number 6 loco was in southern New South Wales. And so I was negotiating with the Illawarra Light Rail Museum to send it up here to Tully. So I was in touch with them for about 2 years, and then it got to October last year, and they said, "Oh look, the engine's just going, but we have to do some steam trials, so we won't be able to send it." So I went to Ingham, because I knew Ingham had a loco down there, and they said, "Yeah, we could lend you our steam loco from Ingham." So anyway, we went through all the arrangements and arranged for it to come up, and then we got to the point of about 2 weeks before the event, and we printed the tickets for the steam loco rides, developed the schedule, everything. We're advertising. People were really interested in having steam loco rides. And then about 10 days before the actual event, we got a phone call from the National Rail Authority that said that you can't do that because the loco's not registered, and it would take 6 to 12 months to register it and cost $10,000.
Wow.
So that night we had a prayer meeting at church, and as I was praying, I felt God was just saying, just trust me, just trust me. The next day we had a fallback position. We thought we'll have a diesel loco haul the carriages, and so then the National Rail Authority said you can't do that either because you have to register to actually have people behind a train. So I was thinking, what are we going to do? Because we've advertised it, everyone knows it's happening, we've printed the tickets, there's going to be awful egg on our face if we don't have it. But I felt the Lord say, just keep trusting me. And anyway, the next day I had to go to Cairns, and a phone call came through from the National Rail Authority guy. He said, "I've had a change of heart." He said, "We're going to call it an amusement ride. You can do what you want." and it was in that prayer meeting I sort of had faith that what's impossible is possible with Him, and so I had sort of a peace in my heart. And in that scripture in Philippians it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God, and the peace of God which transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and minds." And I felt, wow, isn't that amazing? And on the day we had the loco riding all day, and we gave rides to between 1,000 and 1,500 people. And John Edwards at the mill said, it was just great to see the kids get off.
Absolutely
loved the rides.
Loved it.
And so I just wanted to give testimony that their faith does have substance and there is evidence, and don't worry, just give it to Him. And so with that, I can just suggest that we can trust Him. And if you have any anxiety, just ask the Lord to help you. And with that, can we open in prayer? Lord, we just thank you for your presence here, and thank you, Lord, that we're not called to worry about things, but to actually just ask you to help us. And And I just want to give you thanks for what you did in the centenary. And Lord, I pray that this meeting today would be filled with peace, that there'll be a real peace about this meeting as it's just conducted in according to as you want, Lord. And so just thank you for today. Thank you for the nice weather. Thank you for the good things that have happened. And we just want to give you thanksgiving in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Have a great day.
You have a great day too.
We move on to apologies. Are there any apologies? No apologies? Very good. Declaration of prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest. I now invite those present to use this opportunity to make public any prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and regulations. Do we have any conflicts? No conflicts. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting on my... Move on to the confirmation of minutes. Minutes from the local government meeting dated 22nd of May 2025. Moved by Councillor Chewy, second by Councillor Littlemore. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Now to go to business arising from the previous minutes. Anybody got any business arising? No business arising. Okay. Receipt of minutes. Over to you, Mr. CEO.
Thanks, Mayor. This one is just the receipt of the minutes from the Economic Leadership Committee meeting 10 June 20. And there's a recommendation there that the council. Thanks, Mayor. This is just a receipt of the minutes from the Economic Leadership Committee meeting 10 June 2025. There's a recommendation there that council receive the minutes from the ELC.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, and through the chair. First, I would like to move these minutes for the Economic Leadership Committee meeting. And I just want to highlight too that this group is very productive. A lot of things came out of that meeting, but I just do want to highlight that May was Small Business Month, and the Economic Development team, very, very small team, now back to 1, 2, did over 30 events, or course facilitated 30 events in 22 days across our whole region. The engagement of the businesses was in excess of 220. We have, I think it's nearly shy of 4,000 small businesses in our region. And as you know, that small business is the heart and soul of our region. And it what keeps our region going around and producing jobs and everything like that. So I do want to highlight the amazing work of the ED team for May, you know, since they were in June, just to highlight that, yeah, it was a huge month, a massive month, and I am quite confident that the businesses that attended got a lot out of those workshops. So I would like to move that. Thank you.
Thank you. So further to that, I didn't go to the last Economic Leadership Committee meeting, but I have attended prior meetings that they've had, and I think they're very beneficial for the whole of community, as they are. There's good community input from those businesses and locals alike that are in that group. So yeah, I'd have to agree that they are doing a very good job. Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Supporting Councillor McLeod's comments, I did attend two or three of those events, and they were well attended, well organised, and I do feel that there was a good vibe, a good energy at the ones that I attended, and I hope that we are able to continue, looking after our small businesses, because they do employ a lot of people and contribute a lot. Every school fete we attend, every scent sale we attend, there are prizes donated by those small businesses. So we need to keep an active, keep them in our business profile, whatever the word needs to be. Anyway, but thank you. I'd like to second that as well, Mayor. Thank you.
Any further comments? Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Go to 4.1, 2024-2025 Financial Performance Report, and Ms Stravusky will report. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning Mayor, morning Council. Probably financed out for the week, but here we go. This is the monthly report for May. The Chief Executive Officer is required by Section 204 subset 2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to present the financial report at a meeting of the local government once per month. The financial report must state the progress that has been made in relation to the local government's budget for the period of the financial year up to a day as near as practicable to the end of the month before the meeting is held. The purpose of this report is to promote sound financial management and accountability by presenting the Council's financial performance for the year to date versus budget expectations as at the 31st of May 2025. Note the budget information in this report also reflects changes made as part of the budget review adopted by Council on the 22nd of May 2025. The highlights for this month include operational revenue year to date is $111.6 million, which is less than budget by $7.1 million. Operational expenditure year to date is $105.1 million, which is under budget by $7.8 million. The results in an operational profit for the year to date of $6.48 million, which is better than budget expectations by $751,000. The total capital expenditure, including commitments, represents 80% spent of the $95 million budget that we set out. The end of month cash balance is $66.8 million, and this includes $20 million of fixed term investments that we've got. I'm just going to highlight some key areas that you probably have noted yourselves. So rates and utilities revenue is greater than budget by $110,000, and this is due to higher budget water consumption. So we've had more water consumption than we actually originally budgeted for. Fees and charges. Transfer station income is $1.4 million year to date, which is $150,000 greater than we expected. Also, in the current month, transfer stations generated $150,000 with an average annual budget of $116,000 per month. These fees and charges have been offset by lower income in caravan parks and camping by $70,000. This has been as a result of lower tourist numbers than we expected, the wetter weather, and domestic tourists initially going to overseas. Might change soon, but that's why we've got less than expected revenue in that part. Trade waste is also lower than budget by $66,000. Interest revenue for this month is greater by $93,000 than budget, so Council's continuing to make good progress in terms of its interest. Operating grants and contributions. So operating grants and contributions are under budget by $7.8 million. And just to note that, none of this is at risk, but it is less than budget by $7.8 million. So this is due to the DRFA Reaper grant. We're under budget by $6.4 million due to the wet weather and not being able to undertake some of the works. $373,000 under budget for Works for Queensland, and $250,000 under budget for the DRFA Cat D projects that we haven't progressed. Some other items just on here is 1 Mile Creek dredging project has also recognised $300,000 less revenue than expected, and we don't expect to spend that. $250,000 under budget for DRFA Cat C in January 25 projects, and some of these are due to be completed, the advice from service areas by the end of this month. Employee expenses, moving on to that area. Wage and salaries continue to track under budget by $409,000, and this is going well against what we actually set out and having a 10% attrition rate at the start of the year. However, we have previously reported that our areas around allowances and overtime and unplanned and unbudgeted parental leave has made that employee expenses is exceeded budget by $585,000. We have spoken around a lot of the allowances around working with raw sewage allowances, wet weather allowances, given some of the, we've had some main breaks that have contributed to this, and wetter weather. And working wetter weather has contributed to that as well. And at the same time, with some of that work, we've also had overtime. What we did do in terms of those allowances, when we budgeted for those for this year, we budgeted on 22-23 on the basis that last year was an odd year, that, and so therefore some of those budgets were not in line. Now we will be reforecasting those budgets for this future year based historically on what we've seen over the last 2 years, and hopefully that will give us a better indicator of those budgets. At the same time, historically we haven't budgeted for parental leave. As we know, statutory, there is parental leave allowances. We also have 14 weeks allowances that we pay to our staff when they undertake parental leave, and we've had a year of children and lots of babies, so we will look at historical data and try and budget for it next year, but it's never a fine art. There'll be peaks and troughs in that space. Materials and services, of course we're under budget, given that we haven't undertaken some of the works due to the weather that I reported earlier on. So that is the figure that we can see here. But again, those grants will happen and they aren't under threat. We've also got some capital items, capital grant revenue. So we're 4 million under budget due to the timing of Mission Beach CBD revenue recognition, 2.7 million under budget due to the timing of revenue recognition, and 110K under budget due to the timing of roads to recovery revenue recognition. So just to point out that we recognise when things are done or delivered, rather than when money changes hands or is paid. Next item here is around our capital works program. So we had a big capital works program for the year. We had 340 projects. Of the $95 million capital budget, $448.8 million has already been spent, and this represents 51% of the total budget. When we include all the commitments, as at 30th of June, so it's a few days away, this increases to $75.5 million of the total $95 million budget. We will have a carryover, and we have reported in our budget yesterday that there will be a carryover of about $26 million moving forward for some of the works that haven't been able to be completed in this financial year. We've also got some items down below that we've highlighted. Just want to point out, this is just a couple of items that we've highlighted. What you'll see in the June report is actually a comprehensive itemising and report on where we're at with all our capitals. So it's a few days away, awaiting on those accruals to complete, and we'll be providing that report next month as at 30th of June. So just some items just to highlight there. The Innisfail HVAC, so this is the air conditioner. We had a funding agreement with this, and we won't be able to complete the work this year, but waiting to complete that funding agreement with the state. It's not too far away, but clearly it'll fall into next year. We've got, I think the team have also highlighted there that wastewater, it has been raised and it will be done in June. We've also got some water main renewals where we've had actually contracts less than budget, come in less than budget, so that's won't be spent. And we've got some infrastructure road renewals, which is, there is no commitments raised for that because it is actually being done by day labour. So sometimes we go out to market for doing our work, and sometimes we actually deliver our work in-house by day labour. Highlighted down below here is some borrowings that we have. We have borrowing of 1.36 million for waste fleet loan. Stotters Hill landfill cell, we've got 1.6 million loan there, and Hyatt Street Reservoir 2.729 million, and you can also see the remaining term of years for those loans highlighted there as well. Our just in terms of some of our bank balances and information here that we're talking about and how much cash we have. Cash on call is 42 million. So this is unrestricted. So if we need it, if something were to happen and we need some money, we've got $42 million there that we can access. We also have some investments with Queensland Treasury Corporation that are on call as well, 4.7 million. And we also have some fixed term deposits of 20 million. We always make sure that with any fixed term deposits, we consider what that amount is to ensure that we've actually got sufficient funds to be on call should we need them as well. I think we've spoken about this previously, but sort of one of the risks that we have been reporting all along for some time is around our employee expenses, and I mentioned those areas earlier on in the report.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor. And the recommendation is that Council receive and note the 24-25 financial performance report for May 2025.
Thank you. More of a comment, but yeah, on page 6 of the report, the risks again are around salary and wages, which is a very large part of our operations. However, we have this on our radar and we are working and monitoring this to find efficiencies. So, yep, there again, we see it there, and it's not like we don't know about it. We're quite aware of what's happening, and we will do what we can in that space to make sure that we bring that into line. So thank you. Anybody else got any comments? Councillor Baines.
Just a point of clarification, I think. Thank you, Mayor. Under the interest revenue piece, we're talking about the interest rate of 12.35%, which is how it was set last year. So just so that there's no confusion, yesterday
Absolutely.
we accepted the new rate of 12.12%. So
thank you, Councillor Baines. That has been reduced by the state.
Yes.
So those rates that we use in our local council are ones that the state recommends. So we don't create our own recommendation on this. The state gives us an idea of what they believe is the right amount to charge, and it has reduced from last year to moving forward, as you saw reported yesterday in the budget. Yeah. So it'll be 12.12.
So just important for people to understand, this is May's report, which is where the rate was. Going forward, after the new budget, it'll be 12.12.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because we always, so sometimes it can be confusing, even for us finance officers, that we always report 1 month back. So we know there's lots of things that happened right now. We know there's things that are going to happen and impacting June, and we'll report those items in June.
No.
So.
Thank you.
Through the chair, just to add a point of clarification around the wages and salaries. So I think our actual wages and salaries are under budget by $400,000. It's those variable allowances, and as was highlighted, we had a significant event in December 23, and we saw wet weather allowances over time exceed budget in 23-24 because of that event. We didn't anticipate, and we probably should, to have another wet weather event this year as well, which has seen those variable allowances and the parental leave. But just for the confidence of council and the community, the actual salary and wages is currently sitting $400,000 under budget, and some of the decisions, and there's a decision later today again around extending a closure period over Christmas, and this year having some recruitment freezes has meant that that has been managed and managed to a point that it's met that 10% attrition rate that we have talked about throughout the year this year. Interestingly, said the variable allowances actually, and the overtime in particular, are below the actuals that we saw last year. Just, if I could make a comment too on the capital works program, I just wanted to acknowledge the work of our teams and the building of capacity in our capital works teams. That's across all areas of council, but you look back at the finance report that was presented in June 2023, we were talking about delivery of actuals and commitments of about $35 million worth of capital works. As you progress to the report presented in June 2024, we're talking about a figure of $54 million of actuals and commitments in capital works, and really pleasing today to see the capacity that council has built in that area. And today we're talking about $75.5 million worth of capital works that have been committed It's a really challenging environment here where we've had 5 metres worth of rain. I know an individual project that's had 26 days of lost weather, which obviously impacts, when we talk about carryover, the timing of delivery of some of these projects. We've also talked about SPS 04, which has always been planned to be delivered across 2 financial years, and I'm sure Councillor Chewy and the Mayor will be pleased to hear the Mission Beach project, which is still targeted to be completed in December 2025. So just wanted to acknowledge the work of the teams and that capacity building, and through Council's wisdom in putting together a project management office that is allowing better control and better management of that capital program. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comments? Move it. Moved by Councillor Baines, second by Councillor Pervin. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Go on to 4.2, commercial use of land, and Ms Lampard will present. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, councillors. Right, today I have brought to you a report. Thank you. Today I've brought to you a report on commercial use of council land, stationary and mobile roadside vending. Staff have undertaken a review of the stationary and mobile roadside vending guideline. The purpose of the review was to really make sure it aligns with the purpose under the local law for commercial use of our council land. The review, in a nutshell, brought about some safety issues that we've identified and some disparity between the commercial use of our land and competing private interests within our CBD areas, and the economic benefit that that private interest in our own CBD areas brings to the Shire. So what the changes under the guideline, we've identified the 5 sites, but 3 of those sites will no longer be used for roadside or stationary vending. So Perry Harvey Jetty, the Johnston Harbour, and just the 2 sites will no longer be used. The other sites, Colleen McLaughlin, Tully Showgrounds and Hadrell Park, will be permitted to be used, but only after a licence to occupy has been executed for the people that wish to use those sites. So that allows council to enter into an agreement with the operators for maintenance of the site and a value that represents what they should be paying for the site. Then they will be eligible to get a permit under the local law. So the recommendation I've got for you is to approve the attached stationary and mobile roadside vending guideline, permit stationary vending to occur where a licence to occupy is executed for use of the following sites: Colleen McLaughlin Park, Tully Showgrounds and Hadrell Park. Advise existing stationary vending holders of the changes to their permits, and also amend the register of fees and charges for 2025-26, effective 1st of July, for mobile roadside vending for a new application to be $718 and mobile roadside vending for a renewal to be $556.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question. Could you just tell us what the difference is between the licence to occupy and the current status that they have?
Okay, currently none of the vendors have a licence to occupy. They only have a permit under council's local laws. The permit fee is around $500, $600 for a year, and that allows them to vend on council land at the designated site for the year. A licence to occupy, then once they have a fixed licence to occupy, that provides them with some stability and that they will have that site for a fixed term, perhaps 3 years. A licence to occupy will also enter into negotiations around maintenance of the site, waste management, mowing, potential gravel upgrades and that sort of thing. That can't be done under a local law permit.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chewy?
Thank you. Through the chair, will there be a limit to the number of operators on any site?
Yes.
So
Yes, currently Hadwell Park, and we can certainly review it when we enter into negotiations. There are safety issues there. Clearly, it's a very busy site. So we will limit that to the maximum of two people at that site, if that. Colleen McLaughlin's got 2 and Tully Showgrounds has got 2.
Sorry. And further to that, this is based, obviously, this is on council land. So the people that have their fruit stalls, banana stalls in their driveway, are there any rules for those?
That would come under town planning, I believe. Yeah, make inquiries with town planning.
Councillor Pervin?
Morning, Ms. Lambert. So just a question. So you mentioned about the licence to occupy and the current permits that are in place. So basically, by going to the licence to occupy, we will be able to negotiate in regards to the maintenance to carry out. Like if there's a bitumen road there that's breaking up, it depends how negotiations are undertaken to be at their expense. Because currently at the moment, council's maintaining all these sites at our costs for very little return on what the permits are paying. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes. Licence to occupies are done through our facilities department. Their advice is, yes, we can enter into negotiations around that maintenance. It may be that that's not the ideal site for that to occur, and we can look at other sites.
Okay.
Through the chair, so the licence of occupy allows us to also to negotiate the size of the area that they can use, and that may change from a permit where there's no certainty around that the permit will be necessarily approved again and renewed in that following year. This licence to occupy provides at least some certainty for some of these businesses that are long-standing businesses that are looking to upgrade a van or upgrade equipment or to market the business. But safety, certainly traffic management would be a significant consideration when negotiating any conditions, and the requirement for maintenance. I guess if there was a larger burden put on maintenance for an individual, that would be taken into account when negotiating what the fee would be for that licence to occupy.
Very good. Councillor Jessup?
Yeah, so certain times of the year, like Christmas, Easter or whatever, fresh seafood and they're not stalls that would probably be there every week. Are they still able to get a permit, or do they actually have to still?
Under this guideline, they would need a licence to occupy.
They still would need a licence to occupy, even if they're only there like twice a year or something like that.
That's right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sorry, I was just going to say through the chair, one of the important parts about the guideline is not having these pop up where we've got bricks and mortar business. So, where in Innisfail you may have a seafood store, we don't want a roadside seafood store or a trawler necessarily popping up on council land that is competing. The guideline is set to allow for this through the licence to occupy, but also to support our bricks and mortar small businesses across the region.
If I may, through the chair, just to add to that, can one of the licence vendors then, with the occupy in place, can they sublet? Is that an opportunity for them to be able to do that?
It's probably not my area of expertise because it's the licence of occupy is done through the facilities. My understanding is that doesn't occur. Am I correct?
Through the chair, they couldn't do anything without council's consent. Is probably the best answer. So I guess the guidelines talk quite clearly about what activities will be considered. Yeah, roadside vending isn't about putting out tables and chairs in a car park and and actually, putting an order in and waiting for it. It's about, having goods that you can pull up, you can take away and go. We don't want to congest these areas, particularly where they are associated with the state highway. But effectively, any conditions can be put there, and there would be some broad conditions in there that, with council consent, things could be considered as long as they align with the existing guidelines. Effectively, it's a short-term lease in a simple term for that area.
And those guidelines will be on a one-on-one basis, so to speak?
Through the chair, the guidelines are attached to the report today. So those guidelines, if adopted today, if council do approve those, would be consistent across all of the sites below. But the individual conditions, whilst we would have a standard set of conditions, and we already have licence to occupy in council reserves on council land across the region, not for roadside vending or stationary vending, but that would be the intent.
Thank you. Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. And just further to the conversation that Councillor Jessup was having, I think it's very important to recognise that this policy and procedures that we're putting in place are about on council land.
That's correct.
There are
Very important.
other, whether it become a planning issue, of course, is another separate matter, but there are opportunities for people to negotiate with private landholders and in that
Or
sort
state.
of space. But the ice cream man, it's not Mr. Whippy anymore, but that's an itinerant vendor, isn't it? Which is a separate piece again.
Used to be called an itinerant vendor
Yes,
under the
yep.
previous local laws. It's now called a mobile roadside
A mobile
vendor.
roadside. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, great ice cream. Love it.
Sorry, to add to that through the chair, where there's a planning approval in place, so a caravan park, for example, they can have as a secondary use something like a cafe, they can, and we do see them activate. So it's not restricting someone that has a business, and also under events permits, absolutely, the event permit would allow for some of these individuals with these businesses to trade, whether it be on a weekend in Innisfail with the markets or Mission Beach across the region. So it's not, there are still opportunities for these businesses in other ways to engage.
So if they're unsure, they should come and talk to somebody. Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, and through the chair. And look, ideally, we would like businesses filling our empty shops in our CBDs, where we've already got footpaths, we're already maintaining that. It's no extra cost to ratepayers, because we're already doing that area. That would be the ideal outcome for anybody who wants to start a business, that, there are empty shops, and we would like to see our CBDs going gangbusters again. So, I fully support this.
Okay, any more comments? No. You'll move it? Seconded by Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We move on to 4.3, 25-26 end of year close down, and
Through the chair, I'll be
Mr.
taking this
CEO
report.
will do this.
Look, through you, Chair, it's proposed that council offices, libraries and depots are closed over the Christmas and New Year period from Monday 22nd of December 2025 to Sunday 4th of January 2026. Council has historically closed over this period. We find that a number of local businesses, trades are also shut during this period. We undertook this closure across the 24-25 Christmas New Year's period. We had nil community complaints, and mainly because council continues to run our 24-hour after hours line. We continue to maintain those key services, so waste facilities, water, wastewater, and our asset maintenance teams. We have staff available to respond to those, and obviously in the event of any emergency event or disaster event that was to occur, obviously contact lists and callback provisions to bring staff back into the office. So There is a recommendation there. It's that council authorise the closure of its offices, libraries and depots, except for the essential and emergency services from 22 December 2025 to Sunday 4 January 2026 inclusive, reopening on Monday 5 January 2026, and that the closures be advertised in the local media, on council's website and Facebook pages, and notices placed on public boards in council's offices and libraries.
Very good. Any comments? Councillor Baines?
Happy to move, but and I'm just going to go back to Mr. Graffin's comments that we have skeleton staff, we have emergent staff. Something happens, we have the on-call lists where people are brought in, but people need to understand that the rubbish service doesn't shut down during this period. That continues. So we're not.
Through the chair, absolutely. Our essential services continue to operate right through this period. I would just reiterate, rather than trying to call your councillor on Christmas Day because a water main's broken, ring the after hours line, our after hours line, 24 hours. They'll answer within a minute, and they will escalate the issue to the responsible officer that's on call to deal with that issue. So the most effective way to get that dealt with is to ring that after hours line and be connected with an officer that is sitting there prepared to respond.
And it is because they know that on call faster than we do. So, we might have to make 10 phone calls before we get to the right person. And whereas if you ring the 1300 number, they've got the direct chain of, what is it called? Chain of command that needs to be sorted. So, I would have to agree. Councillor
And
Chewy.
I'm just supporting your comments because if people ring me, I tell them I have to ring the same number that you have to ring. You know the issue, you know the street, you know exactly what's going on. So please, 1300 763 903.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Well done. Have you rung it a few times? Any further comments? We've had it moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. We move on to 4.4, Cassowary Coast Council Audit Committee, appointment of external member, and Mr. Gruffin.
Through the chair, you're stuck with me again. Look, in accordance with Section 210 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Audit Committee must be comprised of a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3 independent members, and no more than 6 members in total. Council currently has 4 members, including a mayor, a councillor and 2 independent external members. Council has endorsed the inclusion of an additional independent external member to ensure succession planning and to assist the committee in its roles and obligations as per the Council's Audit Committee Charter. Council called expressions of interest for an additional independent Audit Committee member closing on the 19th of May 2025. A total of 28 expressions of interest were received. Upon evaluation, 3 were shortlisted for interview. The preferred applicant who's recommended for appointment to Council's Audit Committee is Ms Claire Alexander. Ms Alexander displayed the necessary qualifications, skills and experience sought by the EOI process, including over 30 years experience in both public and private sector, including hospitals, local councils and major infrastructure, experience in boards, CEOs and audit committees, extensive experience in corporate governance, exceptional leadership skills and the ability to provide mentoring, guidance and support staff, extensive stakeholder engagement experience with the ability to liaise at all levels, both internally and externally. She's an experienced chair of audit, risk and finance committees. She's results driven, a recognised leader, is a audit committee member of Queensland government departments, as well as the current chair of the Far North Queensland Council Audit and Risk Committee. Based on that, there is a recommendation there, and the recommendation is that Council appoint Ms Claire Alexander as an independent member of the Audit Committee for a term of 4 years.
Thank you. Any further comments on that? No? Do we have a mover? Councillor Littlemore? Someone want to second it? Councillor Jessup? Thank you. Those in favour? Carried, thanks. Move on to 4.5, delegations of council to Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Graffin will present.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Through you, Chair. Look, as per the Local Government Act 2009, Section 257(5), Council is required to undertake an annual review of Council to Chief Executive Officer delegations with the opportunity for Council to amend or rescind delegations as appropriate. Council's governance team has conducted a review of delegations Council to Chief Executive Officer. Delegations for the purpose of this report include delegations by Council to CEO only and not CEO to employees or contractors. The register of delegations is provided as an attachment to this report with the changes highlighted. The previous annual review was adopted at Council meeting held in June 2024. There is a report there that Council, all powers referred to in the document titled Registration of Delegations Council to CEO are hereby delegated by Council to the Chief Executive Officer of Council pursuant to Section 257(5) of the Local Government Act 2009. 2. Section 195 of the Local Government Act 2009 appointing a Chief Executive Officer be rescinded, and Section 195 of the Local Government Act 2009 appointing a acting Chief Executive Officer be delegated to the Mayor.
Any comments? You want to move it? Moved by Councillor Pervin, seconded by... Yes, you may.
When this goes to, if this gets through and is appointed to the mayor, will there be a collaboration between you, as to who's going to take over?
That's usually what happens.
That's usually what happens. Okay.
Or either with the CEO or with the councillors.
With the councillors. Yep. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Down the track, I think we will end up doing a policy or something to complement that.
Yep.
But yeah, for today
Okay.
we just...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to second.
Yep. We have had chats with Vanessa and we will continue
Yeah.
those and...
Just about the timeline and things like that, how long an acting would be sitting for if something were to happen.
Choose-
with this.
yeah, it has
We're
that,
going to have
yep.
further discussion then,
Yep.
that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor Littlemore?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to take the opportunity to second the motion. I don't wish to be the person who is seen to be the proofreader, but the words in recommendation 2 and 3, acting chief executive, need to be capitalised, please. But otherwise, I'm happy to second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So those in favour? Carried, thank you. 4.6, request for leave of absence. Mr Graffin, gee, you got a lot of jobs today, Mr CEO.
Through the Chair, this one is just a fairly short report. So Councillor Nicholas Pervin has requested a leave of absence for the period from Monday 16th of February 2026 to Friday 27th of March 2026 inclusive. Reason being that Councillor Pervin will be out of the country for that period of time. There's a recommendation there that Councillor Nicholas Pervin's leave of absence for the period from Monday 16th of February 2026 to Friday 27th of March 2026 inclusive be approved.
You'll move it? Councillor Jessup has moved it. Councillor Pervin wants to speak to it.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Can I just speak to that? So yeah, proposed to go out of the country for that period of time. And look, if this is approved today, I've had talks with Mayor and also Councillor Baines, as I'm currently the Deputy Chair of the LDMG, which is in peak time of when I'll be overseas in the middle of the cyclone season. So between talks between myself and the Mayor and also Councillor Baines, I've asked if Councillor Baines could be my proxy for the LDMG meetings that are undertaken in that time, just to make sure that there is someone on the ground as a Deputy Chair in the time and place while I'm overseas.
Thank you. Councillor McLeod, you'll second it. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Do you want a break or do you want to keep going? We're all good? Okay, we'll keep going. So 5.1, alterations to traffic conditions along Fitzgerald Esplanade, and Mr Goodman will present. Good morning.
Morning.
Should be out fishing.
Yeah, that would be nice. Councillors, Council received a significant petition, and this report seeks to address the issues raised in that petition. That petition was titled Alterations to Traffic Conditions along Fitzgerald Esplanade between Emily Street and Campbell Street. The petition stated, as residents, we express our concern, disappointment and anger at your council's decision to alter the traffic conditions along Fitzgerald Esplanade between Emily Street and Campbell Street, making this section a one-way thoroughfare. We demand that your council reverses its decision and reverts this section of Fitzgerald Esplanade to a two-way thoroughfare. It's worthwhile acknowledging that there was a significant number of signatories to this petition, approaching 600 signatories. There was a separate letter from the principal petitioners, which highlighted some additional issues that, and those were with the themes of issues with consultation, inconvenience, parking, footpaths, the shared vehicle and push bikes. Yeah, those were the main themes of the letter that came with it, but they and those issues are addressed within the detail of the report. We can spend some time at the start providing some context of how this project came about. It was identified as part of the Innisfail Walking Network Plan, which was adopted by Council in 2024, endorsed by the Department of Transport and Main Roads. It was identified by the community during the development of the plan to better connect Culnane with the town centre of Innisfail via the riverside, and in the longer term would provide better pedestrian connectivity through to marine lakes. Purpose of the project was to enhance the safety of Fitzgerald Esplanade to all road users, including drivers, pedestrians and cyclists, and by converting the street from two-way to one-way, we could take the opportunity to formalise on-street parking bays, a new shared path coding for pedestrians and cyclists, and improve access to community facilities along Fitzgerald Esplanade. It's worthwhile also noting that in 2024 there were 2,140 community members participated in the community scorecard, and in the Innisfail area there was certainly an emphasis of wanting council to prioritise community safety, local roads, footpaths, sport and recreation. Certainly acknowledge that this project was delivered without an ideal amount of community consultation, and was done in a manner which is quicker than that we would progress from concept design to delivery than in most other cases, and that was can be attributed to that we already had a contractor on site that was working on Calendar Park drainage project with Fitzgerald Esplanade already closed, and knowing that it was a priority project in the walking network plan, the decision was made to accelerate that project. Otherwise we would be restoring the road to its previous condition and then seeking to then come back and spend additional monies to turn it to a one-way street. Given the very significant amount of community concern raised through the Through the petition, we have engaged a independent engineering review of the project to confirm what we had thought we would be achieving through the delivery of this project. That report is attached. I thought I would read out some of the key commentary that's associated with that report. The additional traffic on Campbell, Ernest and Emily Streets does not increase the traffic on these roads to levels exceeding the capacity of the roads based on their designated function and physical dimensions. Converting Fitzgerald Esplanade to one-way represents a significant safety improvement on this segment of road. One-way streets simplify the environment for all users. This is especially beneficial for pedestrians and cyclists, children and the elderly, who only need to consider vehicles moving in one direction. The other considerable improvement is a reduction in turn movements at the intersections located at either end of that area, that section of Fitzgerald Esplanade. Physical separation of the shared path using barriers and car parking is considered best practice. The pathway is located on the side of the road where most of the pedestrian traffic is expected, reducing the need to interact with traffic. Vehicular parking on the same side of the road is also the preferred location. That report says, however, there does not appear to be sufficient width along the road to provide both a safe pedestrian and cyclist network along with car parking and 2 lanes of traffic. Separately, I will confirm that we've done the work that says you definitely can't, there is not enough width to do all of those things. In summary, safety improvements resulting from the conversion of Fitzgerald Esplanade between Campbell and Emily Streets are significant and outweigh the minor increases in traffic on surrounding roads that are already designed for that purpose. It is worth noting that the consultants at the time they put this report together made assumptions on the increased traffic counts. In the last few weeks, the engineering team has taken physical traffic counts and compared those to previous traffic counts, and those assumptions are valid with increases. It's very hard to get an exact number, but the assumption of between 400 and 500 additional traffic movements is consistent with the actual traffic counts that have been taken. It's maybe worth also noting the positive feedback that has been received, particularly from community organisations along that section of Fitzgerald Esplanade, and I think it's worth highlighting the written advice from the dance studio along there, which is also included in the report. And this is a direct quote: "From a safety perspective, the introduction of the one-way street has been a welcome change. We have witnessed a significant reduction in near misses between vehicles and students crossing the road to our studio. It has greatly improved the safety and peace of mind of our students, their families and our staff. For this, we are sincerely grateful." Councillors, there are a number of options which are available to you. We certainly have a recommendation there, but there are other options to you. We will be recommending that Council maintains the status quo as it is now, but particularly continues to monitor safety and traffic movements. It's in particular while we haven't seen any of these issues yet, the report did, sorry, I'm sure I marked it here. The report did identify, the school, the drop-off area at the school was something that was. So further investigation of Emily Street school zone may be warranted if the area becomes congested in peak periods, and that's one area that we would recommend that we, in particular, continue to monitor. But there are a number of issues raised by the principal petitioners that we would also monitor. While we're recommending we monitor over the coming 12 months.
So after monitoring that, would you bring back another report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Mayor, I'll
sorry.
get to that.
Okay.
Jumping around a bit in the report. So the recommendation is that we would maintain it as it is and then bring back a report in 12 months with the results of that monitoring. Or, I guess we have to acknowledge that during that monitoring we may come across something which we would recommend action much quicker than 12 months.
Yeah.
You could provide us with direction to reinstate it to the previous two-way street, removing the shared path through there. Costs associated with that would be in the order of $45,000. Also, this is not an immediate option that would be available to you, having just adopted the budget yesterday, but we did provide an estimate here of design and construct a two-lane street, which is accommodating 2 lanes, cycle paths, parking lanes, and pedestrians all through that area. Would require reclamation of some land into the river, and our estimate at this stage is $1.8 million. Councillor Zhao, my recommendation to you is that we maintain its current decision to convert Fitzgerald Esplanade between Campbell Street and Emily Street to a one-way street, and commit to undertake ongoing monitoring over the next 12 months to ensure that the conversion continues to provide safety enhancement, and present a review of the finding in June 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Littlemore?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, can I propose an alternative motion to the one suggested in the report, please? Can I propose that the recommendation be, as it's written, except that the monitoring occur over the next 10 months of period, which, if there is to be a substantial change to the status quo, there'd be time for it to be included in the next year's budget. And if I had a seconder for that, I'm moving that.
Yeah, you want to move it?
So through the chair, so just to capture, you would just change the next 10 months.
10 months, yes.
You would change June to talk to April. Sorry, through the chair, just in recommendation point 2, we'd change that to say over the next 10 months. And it would say review of the finding in April 2026.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yep. Okay, Trudy's going to second that, so is there any further conversations? Yeah. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I was about to second the motion, but you did say that if anything was to crop up, that we would actually go in
Review
earlier and review quicker. This should be a learning curve for council to take out the appropriate measures, correctly informing residents that may be affected by decisions of council. As accountability is one of our core values, in this case, transparency and was not extended to the residents, and further consultation should have been made. Moving forward, council has amended the structure to communicate on all matters that affect the community, and council will be monitoring the use of the roadways and will report back within that 12 months or sooner. So, yeah, I'm happy to.
Can we just take a vote on that motion being amended? Yep, we're happy to accept that. Yep, okay, great. Is there any more? Chris moved it. Councillor Chewy seconded it. That's the amended motion and it's carried. Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. I think I wanted to back up the conversation that Councillor Jessup was just having. I understand we went through a process in the Innisfail walking plan was endorsed by us previously, but sometimes, and this project was highlighted, and there was an opportunity at the time. Taking the time, and it doesn't have to be a huge time frame, because something like this may be perceived as contentious or controversial, and taking the opportunity to have those conversations with the community. And I will note, we've got positive comments coming in from community around this.
Yeah.
The unfortunate piece is those people weren't given the opportunity for a voice. So how many people in the community are supportive of it, I don't know. How many people in the community are not supportive of it? We've got nearly 600 signatures there. So again, it's a lesson learned, and I understand process, and let's get this done, because we did it within time frame. We had money saved in the budget. I'm very supportive of the walking plans and how we expand them into the future. This very walking path has the opportunity to link itself down into the CBD in future plans, and I believe that some of them are identified in it. The thing that I think that has really upset the community was our idea of the consultation was we did it when we did the plan. Doing something that it had already been disruptive to community for months, but then just deciding, yes, we're going to go out and we're going to do this, without going back and just having the conversation. Is it as simple as 7 days? People have the time to get in, talk to this, and just so we can get those opinions. So I understand the community's concern and the community's anger, and I've heard a lot of it. I can guarantee you of that. So again, a lesson learned, I think. I agree with Councillor Littlemore's point around bringing that time frame back, because then that does put us within a budgetary space. But also, and I thank Mr Goodman's comments around, if something happens in the meantime, we don't have to wait for 10 months to do something about it. There's other ways we can move forward with this. So again, I'm just trying to get the community's, this part of the community's thoughts out there, and I was concerned that we didn't take the opportunity for a very short, concise, let's talk to community, and we would have got both sides of the story. All right, thank you.
Councillor Chewy. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr Goodman, the petition principals, have they been given a copy of the report?
The through the chair, subject to the decision of council, we will write to the principal petitioners once a decision is made, and certainly it's already public, it's on the record. But yeah, we can certainly provide that a copy of that Gen Ed's report within our letter to the principal petitioners.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, through the chair. I think not only this incident, but in other occasions, communication has been challenging. Losing our newspaper was very disappointing and made it challenging for council and other organisations who wish to communicate. We do have a new newspaper coming out. I'm allowed to say that. I met with the lady the other day. She said, let it be known. So hopefully people will embrace this new newspaper, and it will give people and council an opportunity to get their messaging, whatever their messaging is, out there to the public. So we hope that it will all move forward successfully, and that might help our council to get the messaging out to our community. Thank you.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, and through the chair, just to follow on from everybody's comments, there was a project that was in the midst of happening. This particular different project came about from the network plan. I get we didn't do the greatest consultation for the change to one way. I think if, hindsight's a great thing. We've learnt from our mistakes, and we do have a new structure happening to hopefully alleviate that. But I think if the whole project was put on the table for all of those people who signed the petition, there could have been either a more or a less signage happening when you've got improved footpaths, more parking. I think if the whole scope was done, I think there could have been a different outcome. Not saying it would have been less or worse. But the comments that I'm getting from the community is that it is great. It is a lot safer for the students, especially when they're walking from school to that side of town. But also, I get our community does not like change. And I did say this to one of the petitioners when I was questioned about it and my support for it. Cane Cutter Court was always two ways. Back in the day when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. It changed to one way and everybody's embraced it and it's a lot better space and all the rest of it. So I know we've learnt moving forward with any other projects that we will do things differently, but I do, say we do have a new newspaper coming out, so, that is one way that we will have all of that stuff in there also. But we've also got Facebook, we've got our website, and if there is any other way that you want to receive your communication, whether by email or whatever, please let customer service know that, this is the way that you would like to receive your information with what's going on with council.
Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think too, if people are interested in what's going on in and around where they live or anywhere of the Cassowary coast, go to the meetings. Council put meetings on for a reason, so make yourselves available. Whether it's a walking network or a road closure, if it's happening and it's going to affect you, show your interest and give your input, please. Thank you.
Councillor Pervin.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Mr. Goodman, first of all, I just want to thank you for going out to get an independent engineer to come and give us some advice on what was undertaken here. Because, like you said, we've had the petitioners come forward and councillors ourselves. We were getting questioned from them, what information have you received, what have you got? So, thank you for that. It's put a few things into perspective there about what can actually happen, what can't happen. Just on to go back to a two-way street and have car parking and have the footpath, I think, did you just say it can't happen or it can happen? I know it can happen at its price, but I just thought you said in the report that the engineer said it couldn't happen. Is that...
sorry, through the chair, the engineering report is a bit ambiguous about that. It makes commentary about there does not appear to be sufficient width. Well, what I said is that I can confirm that there is definitely not sufficient width there, and that's the advice is, well, if you haven't got sufficient width, there's actually would need a couple of things. In one area, you would need to resume some land to expand the road area, and in other areas you'd need to reclaim some area into the Johnson River and to widen out that on the eastern side of the road would be the. I guess you can always go the other side and take out some of the tennis courts. So
either way, that would be a very long, drawn-out process to even get that ball going as well, wouldn't it?
All environmental approvals and negotiations would be a significant. I mean, apart from the significant funds required to that, it would be a very a drawn-out process to deliver on a project, but it could be done.
Yep.
So further to all of those comments, I do have some myself. Yes, we have learned a valuable lesson about consultation out of this project. However, I do want to say that we did give those petitioners an opportunity on 3 occasions. I met with them twice and they came in and did a deputation to us. So they did get a chance to come in and put forward their concerns. So I want the community to know that that did happen. Also, yes, we did have some positive feedback, not only from the dance school and the tennis club and the rowing club, but there are other members of the community that have come forward and also given us positive feedback. However, there are new systems going to be in place. I believe there was some sort of, further to your comment, Councillor Jessup, about notifying people. I believe there is some type of technical advancement where if there's something going on in your area, you can look on the website and it'll alert you to, and then you can press on it and then it tells you where, what's happening in your own area to try and further update our community. It is quite difficult, and it is great that there's going to be a new newspaper. What else did I have to say about that? Yes, and I agree that not everybody likes change, but we have put the opportunity out there that it's going to become monitored for the next 10 months. I did also speak to the school that's in the vicinity, and they did tell me that they didn't have any concerns. So further to, did not have concerns, no. And that's my comment. So we've taken it to, we had a mover.
So you got the substantive motion now is
Yeah.
the amended one, yeah?
Is the amended one. So we moved it and we seconded it and everyone was all in favour of it. Yep, the amended one. So do we now, that's it?
Take the amended to the vote.
Take the amended to the vote. You move it again. Seconded by Trudy. And all those in favour? Thank you, moved. Thank you for your report.
Thank you, Councillor.
No, sorry. Oh, you voted against. Okay, sorry. Did you get that? Okay, thank you. We move into general business. Oh, planning, so I've written on the wrong one. Sorry, I've jumped the gun. Sorry, Mr. Horton. 6.1, contributions in lieu of provisions of on-site car parking. Over to you.
Morning, Council.
I'll amend my paperwork.
The purpose of this report is to for Council to consider the extension of the contributions in lieu of the provisions of on-site car parking policy. Policy numbers 10752, and an increase to the monetary payment amount to $14,100 from $12,900, which is in line with current CPI. Council policy acknowledges that while the planning scheme requires on-site car parking, which we do through the process, to ensure that we can get what we can, is to provide for the development. Certain circumstances may warrant allowing a monetary contribution to be made as an alternative to providing the car parking on site. The policy applies to land located in Innisfail, Mission Beach, Tully and Cardwell. Contributions will not be accepted in any other areas under this policy. Council may accept monetary contributions in lieu of on-site car parking, having regard to considerations outlined within this policy. Any contributions made under this policy has no effect on any external works that might be reasonably required by the Council for the development under the planning scheme. That's roadworks, footpaths, those types of things that still need to be done. Contributions obtained in lieu of the provision of on-site car parking for development will be expended in the locality of that development. However, this does not necessarily mean that any additional parking will be provided in the immediate vicinity of the development for which the contribution has been made. Contributions received under the policy may be used for, but are not necessarily limited to, any of the following: the provision of car parking within the road reserve or on land for which the Council is trustee or Council's freehold ownership, alterations or rationalisations of existing public car parking to improve efficiency and utilisation, and purchase of freehold land for public car parking purposes, which we did in the Mission Beach precinct in main area. The payment of monetary contribution under an infrastructure agreement in lieu of the provisions of on-street car parking does not provide an applicant with ownership rights. So during the process and when we're assessing an application, if this comes into play, Council works with the developer to enter into an infrastructure agreement prior to going to the decision. So you have to make sure that you do that work and you agree with that, and the infrastructure agreement is signed prior to doing the decision and bringing that to Council or under delegation. The car parks, shall remain under council ownership and must be always made available for use by the general public. So it's recommended that council adopt the contributions in lieu of the provisions on-site car parking policy as per attachment 1. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Through the chair, how often is this payment made?
Oh, we've done a few.
I beg your pardon, per application? Is it just a one payment?
Yes,
it's not
through
an
the
annual
chair.
thing is what my question is.
No, through the chair, it's a one-off payment, which is as per the infrastructure agreement that's signed.
Councillor Pervin.
So, Mr. Horton, you don't, if somebody has as part of a council condition that they haven't got enough parking, they've got to pay for it, with this policy, you don't actually physically own the car park, do you? It's just within an area, and so it's not like my business, I can't provide enough, council requires this set fee. That's not my car park solely for me to use. That's just a contribution towards the whole scope of things if council's looking to expand parking areas within a CBD in the next 10 or 15 years. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct, yeah. So it goes into the pool, and over time, if that pool increases and we've got to go back and buy extra land or upgrade what we've currently got, it goes towards those provisions.
Because a lot of businesses are actually landlocked. They're the ones that are taking this up. That's the ones that this policy is built for. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yeah, you definitely look at different areas. And Mission Beach, Village Green area is a perfect example. Once it's finished, it's more designed to be a pedestrian-orientated area than a car-facilitated area. We're looking to ensure that those developments, when they do redevelop around that precinct, that they can increase what they do and maybe offset a bit of that parking into our current car park, which then proceeds further to us looking at alternatives later on. Is that on-site parking in different areas? Is that another piece of land, or is that going up on our current car parking with another story? I don't know, but those are the types of things that you look at as you move forward. But it's about trying to build that density around those precincts. That's why we spend the money, and that's why we look to get those outcomes of what we're doing.
Yes, because we're certainly hearing down there that is a bit of an issue, even with the new car park. So it's good to know that those contributions go towards, maybe looking at some other area.
Yeah.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Horton, in an essence, it's like an infrastructure charge, I suppose, or a developer contribution, but so probably infrastructure charge is not the right terminology because it wouldn't qualify under some of our other policies around in that space. But so once this contribution is collected, that goes towards transport infrastructure works. Not necessarily a car park right next door, as you were saying, but it goes towards transport infrastructure as a whole?
No, through the chair, no. It'd go through, say we had a street, say Campbell Street going up the hill, right?
Yeah.
So if we wanted to mark additional car parks there, change that layout a little bit, it'd go towards that.
Okay.
But
so
general infrastructure on roads, upgrade to channel and curb, all those types of provisions usually come under our infrastructure charge, which is done under the LGIP as part of the scheme.
So this will be specifically towards parking and how we manage that?
Yes.
Okay. That's great, thank you.
You got areas such as the rear of the Shire Hall, those types of things, and provisions around that moving forward.
No, thank you, Mr. Horton.
Very good. What do we got? Moved by Councillor Pervin, seconded by Councillor Chewy. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Thank you, Council. Mr. Horton.
General business.
Now we will go to general business. We're going to have a break, 5. Thank you. Welcome back. We'll now move into general business. Councillor Jessup.
Thank you, Chair. I've just got a couple of questions, probably to you, Mr. CEO. The resurfacing of Butler Street, we were told that was going ahead. Do you have any comment on that for me?
Yeah, look, through the chair, I might have the Director of Infrastructure come up and give some more detail, but certainly it was contracted to progress before end of financial year, and I understand that the contractor has some delays, but might be able to get a bit of advice around timing through the Director.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Yeah, morning again, councillors. Yeah, through the chair, it was certainly procured on the basis that that it would be delivered before 30 June, and at the time then we went to award the contract, the best contractor that we had available, and really there was no other option in terms of availability to get that work done by 30 June. Advised that they were no longer able to meet the requirements to get that delivered by 30 June. So we're still awarded that contract to Boral, and they have advised that that will happen end of July.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I hope they don't extend it anymore.
It's consistent with our sentiments as well. It is a common concern, and it is one of those things that there are two periods of the year where bitumen and asphalt companies become very, very popular, and one is just before a Christmas close down, and the other one is the end of the financial year. And unfortunately, it can be the case that look, I don't know exactly what goes on, but it's hard not to assume that there are other significant contracts that might become available to these contractors, larger councils or DTMR, and while smaller contracts often
pushed aside.
Yes, we have to wait and turn our turn sometimes. So,
however, it's very, very in bad repair, so I hope they get there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, if I can clarify, the section is that we have a contract in place for is from Bryant to Still Street. It's not for all of Butler Street. We certainly in the budget that was adopted yesterday, we so that should have been delivered in the financial year that we're in now, and I'm provide advice that the contractor's not going to be able to get that done by 30 June. But in the capital budget adopted yesterday, there's enough to do the asphalt for the balance of the main street.
So will we do all of it at one time?
Certainly is an option for us after the adoption to go back to so we have done the procurement for one section. We would have to.
It would be insane if we didn't.
When you've got
certainly an option for us that we will explore, but we have to work through that process, and there's procurement that we would need to do. I guess just to provide some additional context, and that we, it's disappointing that the reseal contract for the 2025 year was delivered in November 2025, so several months late.
24.
Sorry, yeah, 2020, sorry. There, thank you. November 2024, so it would have been the 23-24 years, was delivered in November, a couple of months after the contract required through the FNQ Rock. Would have been great if that contractor stayed on and delivered the balance of our projects that we were ready for them to go. They planned on them coming and advised that they were coming back in May, June, and we haven't seen them either. So they are also proposing to come back in July to deliver this current year's reseal program. It's another bitumen contractor, but yeah, I guess it's another example of us sometimes not being able to dictate exactly when we would like.
It could work in our benefit though this time, by the sounds of that. So we'll have to take that on the chin and look at the good side of it rather than the bad side. And you know, the thing with reseals is that people never get why we do a reseal, and it's, you know, to extend the life of the current pavement, not to. They go, why are they putting bloody bitumen on a road that's already good?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's to extend the life, I believe. Is that not? That's correct.
You open the door for me, councillor. So I'll say it. It's the same reason you put your car in for a service before your car, you know, while your car is perfectly functional.
Yeah.
It's the same reason, ideally, you'd paint your house before your house falls down.
Yeah.
And so it's those, that's the rationale of why we put new bitumen on roads which that don't look too bad. And that what happens is the bitumen oxidises, it becomes brittle, it gets micro cracks. Water starts to penetrate. That is the function of the bitumen, is to provide a waterproof membrane over the top of the gravel. And if you leave it, you know, too late, there are very significant costs associated with renewing the pavement, which sits underneath the bitumen, and so that's why we spend and recommend to council significant expenditure on those bitumen reseal projects.
Okay.
If I just may ask as well, through the chair, Mr. Goodman, the crossovers on the road where the cars drive up as a speed hump, some of them are deteriorated. They will be replaced or repaired.
That's
as
in
well?
the program as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Particularly
are they wombats? No.
They
are similar to a wombat crossing.
Yeah.
The particularly that Still Street intersection, those ones there are in poor condition and are highlighted for renewal.
I think also the one opposite Eagledon's to the Commonwealth Bank has got pieces coming out of it as well. So yeah, nice
Council
trip hazards.
Pervin.
I do have one more question, but not for Mr. Goodman. Thank you.
Do you have any?
Back to Mr. CEO. Any opportunities for upgrade or what's happening with the grandstand lift? I mean, we've got community members that would like to have some sort of notification on that, if you could, please.
Look, through the chair, I think the grandstand lift is serviced prior to most events and maintained. We have had some issues with the lift either being overloaded and tripping out, but I understand the team are currently having a look at if there is a scope of works, what that scope of works would look like. It may be componentry, it may be a motor, it may be more significant than that if council are looking for a long-term fix. There's certainly opportunities for funding opportunities to potentially deliver some works there. There is a allocation there for some of the some more minor works, which are some of the sink basins and toilet bowls, renewal of those assets. But yeah, we're not quite sure on the scope of works for that and what that would look like at this stage.
Okay, thank you. I think that's pretty much all I've got at the moment. Thank you.
Councillor Chewy?
I do have some items for Mr. Goodman, but it's coming, most people know it's coming up to my very favourite time of the year, showtime. So I just ask people, the shows are run by a very small group of very hard-working people. So we'd like to acknowledge the work that they do, encourage people to become part of your show committee, go to the show, support your Rotary, your Lions, your Scouts. It's a really big fundraiser for them each year. and put your cauliflower in and your potted plant and all the rest of it, because the shows are there for community to show what our towns are all about. So once again, thank you to those who make them happen. But Mr. Goodman, while you're in the chair, I have a couple of queries for you, please. We recently had traffic changes at the entrances to Bingle Bay and on Wheatley Road, and I understand it was a long process, but could you just explain? So both of those, Wheatley Road was 70 kilometres an hour reduced to 50, and Bingle Bay was 60 reduced to 50, and I know that the community members that I have spoken to are extremely grateful for those changes. But could you just please explain the process and how it works? Thank you.
So before you do that, those roads are council roads or are they state roads?
Council roads.
Okay, so, okay.
I will be talking to that.
Yes.
Through the chair, the process for considering changed speed limits is the same, state or council.
Okay.
It would be proposed by obviously the reviews, the technical reviews undertaken on state roads are taken by the state, and local government roads by the road. And Councillor Tui, appreciate the forewarning that you might be asking this question. So I've got some notes here because it's a very technical process for considering amending or considering speed limits, whether they might be amended or they might well remain the same. There is a rigorous process to review speed limits, and some of the aims of that is ensuring that in our region, one of the bigger aims is in our region and across Queensland, speed limits are credible, realistic, and promote voluntary compliance. And what that means is that in most a well-designed road with a speed limit, most people won't even need to see the speed sign. They will get a feeling from driving down the road that this should be a 50 kilometre zone or an 80 kilometre zone, and so that should be completely, I guess, within our region. That should be consistency between Cardwell and Mission Beach and Bingle Bay and Meena Creek and Innisfail, but just as importantly for the visitors to our region, or when our people from our region go and visit Doomadgee or Mount Isa or the Gold Coast, that the ways for setting speed limits right across Queensland are consistent, and the technical tool that's utilised is the Queensland Road Safety Technical User Volumes, and particularly the Guide to Speed Management. Those technical assessments are done when there's a consideration, or often when there's a suggestion from the community of that the speed limits should change. They consider road environment, land and use development, traffic characteristics, any safety, crash history issues, and the road function, and there are a number of sub-items in between that. Those reports are then considered by the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Speed Management Advisory Committee, and membership as officers from the Cassowary Coast Regional Council, Department of Transport and Main Roads, and the Queensland Police Service. So those officers from those three organisations meet to consider those technical reports and then endorse or not endorse those recommendations that have come from those technical reports. So that's the process that happened recently. There was suggestions that speed limits should be reviewed. Those reviews were undertaken. A report provided to the Speed Management Advisory Committee and endorsed by that group. So that's the process. I think if I can just take an extra minute or two, one of the things which is also important to understand is often speed limits are completely ineffectual for dealing with occasional members of the public that are already ignoring speed limits. So if there's a 60 kilometre an hour existing speed limit and 1 in 300, which we do see from time to time, one in 300 drivers says driving along that road at 100 kilometres an hour. The way to resolve that is not by reducing the speed limit further. It's already quite obvious that there are some drivers that just completely ignore reasonable speed limits, and the way that those issues can be dealt with is the Speed Management Advisory Committee. It's great to have the police as members of that. We will seek some assistance from the Queensland Police Force to do some additional enforcement or targeted enforcement in those locations. But yeah, so often we will hear concerns about speeding vehicles with an associated request to reduce the speed limit, but it's often the case that we would not, that when we go through and do the assessment, we're not recommending any change to the existing speed limit, but assistance from the police service to do enforcement.
Thank you. It's good to hear, it's good to hear that it is not just a council decision, that DTMR and QPS are on board as well. And there was some, following from those adjustments, there was conversation around that stretch that on the Tully Mission Beach Road at near Glow's nursery there, that goes from 60 for a short period to 80, and I've suggested, because it is DTMR, so DTMR are responsible, so people need to phone the 13 19 40 number if they would like to see changes made there. And there's also been a lot of commentary about the works, the bad condition of the road near the banana farm, which we all acknowledge, and DTMR have told me that will be started around November, weather permitting. So they are trying to get things done. Mission Beach Alarish Road is looking fantastic.
So I did escalate that too when I was in Cairns and FNQ Rock about the state of that.
Yes,
so
it's terrible.
We are doing our bit, but they're pushing back saying that, it's not at intervention level yet.
Yes.
And they have got program works, but unfortunately they don't see the need to move that forward. Yeah. Which is
I keep raising
no benefit to us.
That issue with them. But it's great that community are getting on board. And once again, please reach out to DTMR if you are talking about a road that is maintained and controlled by DTMR. It is not a council road. Mr. Goodman, while you are there has been a lot of conversation and chat about the proposed new shelter at South Mission Beach, concerns about size, shape, sun protection, wind protection. Could you just provide some details about how different will it be from the current shelter, please? Thank you.
Through the chair.
Before you move on to that, can I just go back to, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit here, but a while back I had put a request to the traffic management group about, is that where you put your request for those smiley, angry face signs to that committee as well, or is that more a DTMR?
Thank you, Councillor Pervin. Again, it depends on which road you're talking about. But separately,
it's actually a DTMR road. It's the one at Silkwood, so I'd put that in. But maybe I should talk to Mr. Knuth about that. Okay, no worries.
I recently put one in too.
Sorry.
Well, I guess we see a lot of those around, and Cairns Regional Council have recently installed quite a few as well, and separately there's a different group which meets, which there are a couple of councillor representatives on that group, which is the Traffic Advisory Committee, which is more focusing on general safety issues. And we have sought some advice as to their performance, their long-term performance of those smiley faces, with consideration that we might, there may be worthwhile a recommendation to council to purchase some and install them on our own network. We're still waiting for that advice, but the preliminary advice is that they will see quick change in driver behaviour, but it doesn't last very long. So that's, but we're still waiting for a report to come back before we would consider recommending to council investment on our own road network.
Thank you, sorry.
Councillor Chewy, through the chair, some detail and yes, aware of some concerns raised by, I guess, with an artistic render which was provided on a social media post. But I just want to confirm that the shelter which is has been purchased and we're waiting on delivery is larger in floor area than the existing one. That the prevailing winds and the the way that rain might impact on the users of that shelter has been taken into account. The lower side of that shelter was facing into the prevailing winds. So yeah, very confident that the new shelter will actually exceed the performance in terms of providing shelter that the previous shelter has provided the community and done very well over many years.
Thank you, and just like to acknowledge the work, the construction of that previous shelter, and I am working with community to acknowledge the work that that went on to create that original shelter, and hopefully that will move forward as well. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Now for the CEO, if I may, Mr. Graffin, I've had a couple of concerns that Big Brother is watching our rubbish bins, and could you please explain the difference between sensors in our public bins and cameras on our trucks, please, and what they provide, what information they provide, and how it's used. Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair, the sensors in our public place bins are purely that. They're a sensor that operates on an IoT network, so Internet of Things, and provides a pulse of information every 15 minutes, half an hour, that goes back and is collected, and the information that those sensors are collecting are around the distance from the sensor to where the waste is, how full your bin is. Also gives information around the temperature, so if the bin's on fire, we'll know, and also gives some information around the angle of the sensor, so if the bin's been knocked over or pushed over, we're aware of that. So there are no cameras in the sensor. We would always encourage individuals to use public place bins for the right purpose. Obviously, if you've got a public place bin in a CBD, filling it full of fish frames or putrescible waste can cause an odour, and the sensors don't determine what type of waste is in there, purely just how full. And they are there just to ensure that we can optimise collections and those schedules so that we are doing it at the right time, not over-servicing our bins, and also, importantly, not under-servicing those bins. The collection of particularly our curbside recycling waste, there is implementation of AI equipment within the trucks themselves. So as a bin is lifted, there's an image taken. The AI doesn't determine exactly what is in there, but it has the ability to estimate contamination. So really just means that we have a feeling of how much contamination may be in a load prior to it reaching the end location, which if contamination is significant, it is better sometimes to divert those trucks away from the material recycling facility in Cairns.
Councillor Pervin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Mr. Goodman, you probably can't give me the answers this today, but not that long ago, at the council meeting, we resolved for the parking in the Innisfail CBD area and Tully and all the parking areas. Just wondering, would you be able to find out when those parks are going to be implemented? Because there was some change of parking bays in Innisfail in particular with loading zones and disability parks. And also line marking within the CBDs. It was raised at our last Traffic Advisory Committee meeting as well, just from QPS, just having some issues with some line marking in certain areas. So would you be able to bring a report back on line marking and when the parking is going to be basically, yeah.
That those changes are implemented?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, through the chair, happy to take that on notice and I'll provide that information.
Thank you.
Does that include the one outside the Target Health there with the 2-minute parking? Councillor McLeod.
Thank you. And just a highlight of things that are happening before our next meeting. The Amazons Australia is a world first all-female World Series adventure race, and it is coming to Mission Beach from Sunday the 6th of July to Thursday the 10th of July. So if anybody's in the region, there is lots happening down at Mission Beach. And just to touch on what Councillor Chewy said, the shows are coming. Please support them. It's like anything, your small businesses, everything. If you do not support what is happening in your region, it will disappear.
Use it.
Whether we like it or not, correct. So, please support the shows and please support our local businesses, shop local, shop local, shop local, shop local. And also on that, Cassowary Coast Tourism, together with Cardwell Chamber, has got a networking event happening, planned, for the 16th of July. The Tully Chamber also has their meeting on the 16th of July. So any of the businesses in those areas, please, we need to build our chambers and our business support. And also Cassowary Coast Business Women's Network has got an event on the 22nd of July in the Village Green. I think we're going to be bar hopping or walking hopping, and there's businesses going to be open that night in the Village Green. So lots of exciting things happening in that business space. So support business hopping, business hopping. Yes, and that's it for June, July.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take the opportunity to remind everyone that, of course, the Cassowary Coast is the beating heart of the wet tropics and the birthplace of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. So just wanted to congratulate the community involved in the GBR 50 event that was held at events several times, more than, that was held around the Mission Beach area, based around Ninny Rise, where a lot of this work was kicked off. Disregarding the questionable sea legs of a councillor, they were wonderful events. It was very, very successful. We had great support from the community. I'm going to speak to the GBR 50 steering group, because if I try and mention every single group, I'll miss one. But the piece that astounded me was the amazing support of the community. Was a difficult thing to try and organise while governments were in caretaker mode, and a lot of that stuff was going on, but the community pulled together some extraordinary events. I'm going to thank my fellow councillors and their partners who paid for their own tickets to go to the dinner at the GBR 50 event, the gala dinner. It was wonderful that everyone came along. It's not finished. GBR 50 will continue. It's going to run for this entire year. I will say that some other councils have been very supportive in this space. I do get the comment back to me at times when I speak about Cassowary Coast as the birthplace of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, and I'm told it's not a competition. Of course, my answer to that, no, it's just the truth. So it's a great piece of work. Thank you to everyone who was involved. Please continue supporting it into the future, and I look forward to many more events like this over the coming 12 months. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, it was well attended and it was a good evening, and the day at Ninny Rise was very well supported as well. I want to go back to the shelter that Trudy mentioned earlier. Councillor Chewy, mentioned earlier. That we didn't get an architect because we simply went out and made do with buying probably off the shelf, I would say, for this type of project. And we don't always go out and get an architect to design something as simple as a beach shelter. And I'm sorry that there are some people out there that don't agree with the design, but it was thought over by our team and looked over, and who live here, that's right, team that would work here and live here. There was no bin in the picture, but I can assure you there will be a bin at the particular space. And there also has been an ask about considering some shelter, more shelter and more tables. Let's just get it there first and we can have a look at altering it later. But yes, there is consideration for more seating and the final decorations, or whatever you want. Embellishments is probably a better word, once it's there and it's finished. But yeah, as Mr. Goodman said, it is bigger than the last one. And let's just see how it goes, guys. Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Jessup.
If I may, thank you, Mayor. Through the chair, I actually quite like the design. It has a flow effect like the ocean. It doesn't impede your view as much. It's thin and it's quite modern. So I think looking forward, I think it actually will, people will come to love it.
I hope they do, because there was a question around, I asked this question, well, if you were to build a house today that you had built 50 years ago, would you build it exactly the same? You need to ask yourself that question. So we are just trying to modernise and make things fit a little better with the surrounding environment, I suppose. So yeah, there's lots of avenues that we look at when we do renew things. So yeah, thank you. Any other comments? We'll bring the meeting to a close. Thank you very much. Have a great day.